Whew. All right. Let's see if we get this party started. And we are live. Welcome to 8 Questions with. I am your host, Patrick. Glad everybody. Oh, hey, Casey. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are showing up early tonight. Our guest is coming in, and she'll be here in about 15 minutes, and she really is nervous. So having some folks here to welcome her in would be most most grateful to you guys. Hey, John. Thanks, man. I can't believe it, man. I made it. I made it. Oh, I lost one. I was at 402. I was at 402. I lost two. So I'm probably going to end up dipping underneath four, I'm sure. But I'm glad I got the four I got right now. The 400. I'm glad. Our guest tonight is Carolina Johnette, and she is a writer, producer, playwright. Thanks, John. I hope so. I like to think we deserved it. We worked our ass off for it. We're having a great show. We're having a great series here, and really enjoying this series tremendously. Definitely is what's floating my boat. So, and thank you guys all coming in. This is great. Really enjoyed our last interview with Dennis Mallon. Dennis was a terrific guest, and you gotta love the guy's drive. The guy has a motor that won't quit. He knows what he wants. He's gonna go get it, but he's gonna bring you along with it, with the ride, and that's really probably the ultimate compliment I can pay him. Is like, yeah, he's going places, but he's going to make sure that he already knows that his team is responsible for it. That's refreshing to hear. Hey, medic, place your hand on the wall. It's all right, John. I mean, that's all we got replay for. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be fun. Yeah, so Carolina's gonna be here with us. We had a terrific guest with Dennis. Josh Gilmer couldn't make it. He had a commitment he had to take care of. That's why we didn't have a show yesterday. Josh Gilmer is a young man on the rise, and so that happens when I do a show like this. Sometimes at last minute things come up. It's like almost like going to a convention, so to speak. You go to a convention, you expect to see a certain a name that you want to meet there, and all of a sudden they just not there. They have previous commitments, or they might have got a role, or who knows what else. So that's the nature of the beast that happens. We'll try to get Josh back soon, if we can, for sure. Yeah. So our guest tonight is Carolina Johnette. Like I said, she is also trying to get back into the game here. She was very busy for a while, and she took some time off, and now she's trying to come back, and she's going to talk to us about that. It's funny, all the guests always get here so early. I say come in at 8 o'clock. I love it though. I'll be honest, I'm not criticizing it at all. I think it's awesome. It just means we get to talk to them a little bit longer, and that's really it's always going to be beneficial. So let me go grab her. There she is.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
I was just gonna hang out backstage, but okay.
No. As long as you guys are showing up, like I said, I mean, I think it's actually really charming that because I say, you can come in at 8 o'clock, and then everybody always wants to come in early, and it's like, hey, all that means is just I get to talk to you all that a little bit more than I'm scheduled to, so I win for that.
Very nice.
Um,
And it
I was
works.
just,
The technology works.
yep. So you caught us in a little, like my little 15-minute pre-show. I just thought make a little chat here and there, and of course, anybody that knows this show knows what's coming up next because it always happens. This is a foregone conclusion. It's just one thing you can always count on about 8 Questions with is one thing.
Calendar. It's a calendar, isn't it? I gave it away.
Calendar. Oh, they all know. They all know. So in October is flying by with a cape. It is flying by with a cape. It is going by so fast. This is the end of this is the end of the third week. I just cannot believe it. It just went by so fast. So on the 20th, I'm going to tell the date. So the 24th, we'll be back on Hobbs's Horror Channel for the midnight hour. So that's going to happen on the 24th. And then we have Artist Week next week. All 3 guests are artists. They do art and different type of media. We have Braden Duncan will be here. Clockwork Art will be that's her company. She'll be here at 8 o'clock next Tuesday. 27th, we have Artfully Blind with Diana. That is like, I'm really hyped up for next week too. It's gonna be so fun. And then I have She Wines will be here at 8 p.m. Rico and Dizzy will be playing us a visit. That's right, kids. I got their names. You guys didn't, but I got it. So they'll be here at 8 o'clock next week, and they'll be talking about their. Have you seen these guys yet? She Wines. You have to see these. You have to. I'm gonna have to show you their. I'll send you their link afterwards. They're amazing, very interesting, very very fun. That's right. Woo! Next week. So that's our calendar. I mean, for October. I mean, one more show. I got one more show in October, and I would be very remiss if I did not tell this show on Halloween night. Yes, we're having the spectacular drawing. We're having a spectacular drawing on Hobbs Horror Channel, but we're also have the return of the IFC Midnight Nights, and we are covering a movie called The Wind. The Wind. That is going to be a great show. I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, I'll send you the link for that too, Carolina. You can come out and check us out. We cover IFC movies. Yeah, we talk about IFC midnight movies on that show. It's we do it once a month. We have it's a panel. It's a panel. Wow. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. We talk about. Oops, well, I hear an echo again.
Oh, am I echoing?
Yeah, I can hear myself. I think on yourself.
Oh, okay. So I'll make sure I.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, sounds. Okay, can you hear me all right still?
I can hear you. I don't know about everyone else, but I can hear you.
No, everybody else can hear us.
Good.
I did talk to somebody who's going to be here in about. It's going to be here within 10 to 15 minutes, I believe.
Oh.
Yes,
well,
yes.
I have a paper bag in case I pass out. I don't know if that works to breathe into a paper bag.
You'll be fine. This is fun. Yeah, we'll just go nice and slow, and yep. See, Casey says we can hear us. He can hear us. All right. What else am I gonna say? I don't want to start it off a little too soon because I expect some of your folks to come here after 8 o'clock. So
I said 8 o'clock.
So I'm gonna have to bring out the first week of November for you guys. But these guys love me here and talking about the calendar anyway. It's part of the show.
Very nice.
So here we go. And I do have something to announce on November 28th. So the first week of November, we have actress Augie Duke will be here, and she is the lead actress in the new movie at the Amityville Moon. And yeah, that's gonna be a very interesting show because the young lady is very, very pregnant.
Oh.
So
Might be canceled, maybe.
I don't know. You know what, Carolina? Honestly, I told her that. I told
Oh,
her that when I booked the show. I told her, I said, listen, if for any reason at all that you are uncomfortable, because I think she's like, I don't know, I can't judge, but she's far along. She took a picture on her Instagram page, and she looks like Rose the Hat from Doctor Sleep, the Stephen King movie, the sequel they made, Doctor Sleep, and
oh, wow.
Rebecca Ferguson plays Rose the Hat. She had a costume. It looks like Rose the Hat because she's pregnant. But she looks very cute. Oh,
Aw.
there he is, the man, the master, Stephen Foster.
Hey!
Wow. See, now you're in really good hands. All right.
Well, I was going to talk about him anyway, so.
Opportunity not. See.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Such a appropriate title for his movie. And
On the. Oh, I still hear myself. I don't know what is that feedback coming from? Do you have your speakers up on your monitor? On your computer?
They're in the computer, yeah. Do I need to put on headphones or something, or?
You might help because I'm. Yeah,
okay.
I keep hearing myself.
Yeah, they're part of the computer, so that's about all I know about it. Is that better?
Let's see. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
You hear me fine?
I hear you fine. That's okay. I don't understand the technology, but whatever.
Yeah, I guess here. Yeah, before I use the phone for everything, what I have to do is I have to turn down the sound on my computer, so it just doesn't. Let's see. On November the 3rd, we have film collector, film buff, my friend Jonathan from PlatX2 YouTube channel will be here on the 3rd, and then on Thursday the 4th, I'm doing another double header. That's right. We're doing 2 and 1. This is a common thing here on the 8 Questions With. Me and the cheater are heading across the pond to England to interview our lovely friend Laura Dove. That will be at 2 p.m. She writes the blog 5 Little Doves, and she is a member of my tribe. So I'm very yep, she's a member of my tribe. On 8 o'clock, we have Jamie Olsen will be here from Olsen Productions, one of the hardest working young artists in Hollywood today. She's making her own movies, she's producing her own movies, and she's starring in her own movie. And so we'll be talking to her about that and what's it like working with Robert Lasardo, who is a badass. Everybody wants to work with Robert Lasardo. If you're into indie movies, into action adventure, there's 2 people you want to work with, or 3, I should say. There's 3 people you definitely want to work with. 1 will be Danny Trujillo, 2 will be Eric Roberts, and 3 will be Robert Lasardo. If you're into the indie adventure, indie action adventure, yep, you want to work with those 3 guys.
That's funny.
No, it's true. I mean, we talked to a lot of folks, and the common thing is you see them, they'll still say, well, I worked with Robert Lasardo, or I worked with Eric Roberts, and it's like, because Eric Roberts is a robot. You know that, right?
I was looking at his page to find one of your speakers, and there was just too many movies. Like, I'll never find it this way. I just
he's an android. I think he's a Terminator. Yeah, Stephen will be here on December. He's mentioning that. And Stephen will be our first guest in December 1st. Stephen Foster will be here. I'm remiss in saying that. And the last thing I'll mention before we get into the show is November 28th. And you guys are all gonna I just know more and more people are gonna hear this and laugh. But we are doing A24 night on the midnight hour. That's right. I said A24. We're going to be talking about all A24 films, which ones we like, which ones we should like, and all that good stuff. All A24 all night long. So that should be quite fun. All right, Carolina, let's talk about you.
Okay.
You got your bag ready,
Hello.
right? You will need your bag. Uh, you're in good hands. You got a lot of good people here watching you. So let's go. Let's go. So I guess the first question is always the first one. The easiest one is like, where were you born and where did you grow up at, and what was your family? What was your family life like? Were your parents creatives along with you? Did you catch that from them?
Interesting question. All right. Well, I was actually born in the capital, Washington, D.C., and grew up right over the line in Maryland, and stayed there for 18 years. But then after that, traveled the world and swore I'd never come back. But I did actually end up back in Maryland to study film. I was like, why is the only film school right here? But it was okay. I had matured by then and stopped having a grudge as I started to have as a teenager. Yeah, my family, my grandmother acted in local theater. My mother always liked to write. And then I just found out a few years ago, my dad wanted to be a stand-up comedian and actually had uh, like gone to some of the, what is it called? What are those cat hills or whatever the mountains are in New York and
Oh,
seen all the,
yeah, the Catskills.
that's it, Catskills. But he was a lawyer, like everyone in Washington, D.C. So that was kind of shocking. Like, I wonder what our life would have been like if he had been a stand-up. And now my son's interested. I'm like, well, you should go for it because dad didn't. So yeah. So and I guess I just fell in love with Gene Kelly and wanted to be, a singer, dancer, performer. And luckily later I found out he directs. So I was like, yeah, I don't know the tap dancing, but I'll follow in his footsteps directing.
Oh wow! So where did you travel to when you went around the world? How old were you when you left?
Well, my mother went to all 7 continents. So she kind of, when I started like going with the wrong crowd when I was 14, the only way she knew how to deal with it was to bring me traveling. So she brought me to England. And on day one, I was like, I want to see the world. And I was into rock stars back then. So like we went to all these shops, to record shops and everything. And then actually we went to Yugoslavia because that's what they wanted to do. It was communist. And it was just so interesting. So then I wanted to be a teenager in another country. So I was an exchange student right before my senior year, and that was just an amazing program. I know Stephen really wants to live in a castle in France. Well, my host family had a castle. It was the grandma's, so I didn't spend the night, but I had dinner there, and it was just amazing. And then I went to Spain in college, Mexico for a year after college, and then of course studied on the Ojibwe reservation. And then my dream was to go to Sicily and find some of our family. We had been long lost, and it took about a year, but I found them. And Egypt, Jerusalem, and of course all over Europe, and yeah, so just all over. And in a few years, I'll probably go back and run around the world some more.
What part what part of the trip did you enjoy the most?
Oh, I guess all of it, because I was, different ages, different parts of my life. I usually stayed for a year somewhere, or a month or 2 months, and try to learn some of the language. Usually stayed with family. I'm like a terrible tourist. Tour guides hate me because I wander off. I want to talk to the people. I want to like pretend I'm from there until I open my mouth, and it's
All right.
obvious.
Steven's saying that castles rule.
Well, I said I wanted to buy one. They told me, "Oh no, you don't. They're too windy, and the installation's too hard." But I think you should go for it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever. I think the only thing I've come close to probably like a castle will probably be the Hearst Mansion. I think that's probably the only thing I've come close to. So you're a world traveler. Did you? When you were traveling, you're saying that you got a little bit of scuffle, just a little bit of trouble. But did the bouncing around the world, did that burn that off you? You started to learn. You started wanting to go to school and
Yeah, well, I studied Spanish in college, so I was like, okay, I'll be a teacher, and then I'll write in the summers. And I thought I was going to live in Minnesota for the rest of my life, but I had a huge breakup, so I went to Santa Cruz, California, and I was teaching, and I didn't really like it. Being a teacher's hard, so I was like, oh, I'm so close to LA. Let me go do my dream of being a filmmaker. I didn't even really know how they did it, but I had met some. I went down to Jay Leno's show one night and talked to one of the pages. I was like, there's normal people here making movies. So it just kind of jumped in. And it was interesting because so many people there hadn't really traveled. So they were like, I had an idea for a travel documentary. They're like, take me with you. So I still would. Well, actually, one of the first documentaries I did, my friend and I drove all the way around the country and just filmed everybody. I put it together, but it doesn't really make sense because we filmed everybody. But it
Right.
was fun.
Where did you teach at in Santa Cruz? Was that UC Santa Cruz?
Oh, no, high school. It was high school.
Okay.
So my first one reason, so I was talking to someone who wrote screenplays. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I said, oh, wouldn't it be funny if a teacher killed her students? And his agent liked that idea, so I started writing it. And then one day my students made me mad. I said, be careful, I'm writing this. But I did the opposite. I wrote them all a little note like, you're a very good person. So it was a way to take out frustration.
So you were writing from basically from 14 on. I mean, that's when you started writing.
Well, actually, I found recently the book I wrote in sixth grade. It's terrible, but I kept like 2 pages. So I always was writing and writing stories, like in elementary school. The teachers would always like my stories. They knew I was interested in acting, so I would act in little plays. And of course, junior high and high school did the theater program. I could never. I was a terrible auditioner, so in college I learned to produce the plays, and then I could put myself as Blanche Dubois, Anita from West Side Story. All of a sudden, I could just hey.
Right.
So I was always writing like skits or writing ideas, and I've written in a diary since I was 13. So writing came easy, and then just learning how to write screenplays, and I'm still trying to learn how to write to the format and all for plays, but I'll write them. I do teach again, so I like it now. Got back to it. I'll write for my students, do some drama projects every once in a while.
Do you have a writer's chest?
That sounds lovely, but no, I have my grandma's writer's desk. I like that, and just papers everywhere. When I've moved, everyone's like, "Your U-Haul is just full of a tree." I mean,
I was talking to a writer friend of mine named Anthony Cardino, um, and he was telling he's the one that introduced me to a writer's chest. And what he does is it's just a chest, and he writes whatever he's writing with at the moment. And whenever he hits a roadblock or he wants to change something, or or maybe gets bored of it or whatever, he'll put it in a little folder, and then he'll put it in the writer's chest. And then later on, who knows, maybe it's a dark snowy night, he'll get out there, grab it, take the cobwebs off of it, and go right back at it. And pretty much,
wow,
I found out pretty much every writer has a writer's chest.
interesting. Mine, I guess, is an ugly file cabinet, but if you put it that way, yeah, I've got folders of
I mean,
things.
you ever find yourself just like bored, grab, then you make yourself a cup of tea and you go back to your cabinet and grab something you wrote and look at it and stare at it and go like, what can I do to I bet Steven has one. I bet
Yeah, for
He knows what I'm
sure.
talking about.
Yeah, I do Google Drive, like idea for this, idea for that, and then I do well when I have a deadline. Like, okay, now let's put all these ideas together. Otherwise, it's like a long time where it's gathering ideas. But that's a good idea to like, let's look at these old ideas.
I'd be scared to put it online. I'd be scared because I'd lose, because it would, something would happen and it would be deleted. I mean, I think writing it down through, like on paper and then putting it aside. I don't know why. I just think that would be like the safest thing for me. Maybe because when like I got an Apple iPod, and I also got an Apple iPad, and spent hundreds of dollars on them. My wife spent $300 on the iPod, and I spent like $500 for her on the iPad, and both went obsolete. And Apple's like, we're not touching them anymore. You're stuck with them.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, they're great paperweights. Yeah.
Well, I thought Google Drive was helping me and a great place to store everything, but I think you're right. I need to print things. I need to write it. I just end up having so many little Post-its and papers. Yeah.
He was confirming that he does have a writer's chest. He has a writer's chest. Yep. It's as big as Bette Midler's chest. Holy crap.
So true.
Well, he writes all the time, so I'm not surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. What was the first thing that you wrote that you were actually proud of, that you actually looked at and said, I could do this?
Wow. I think it took a while to really see like where it was all going and what I was going to write, because I was like, okay, I'll write when I'm older because I'm really having fun traveling. So I would just write down ideas. But in college, I started producing a play to educate about sexual violence, and I would write scenes for that. And watching it happen, I was like, this is really cool. But as I traveled, I started thinking of an idea. Wouldn't it be cool to have a lesbian road movie? So I just kind of put that in the back of my mind. And then when I did move to LA, that's the idea that popped in my head as I drove down there, and I started writing it down. I stopped on the side of the road and started writing it down. And then all for 2 years, I was just focused on that. And then I produced it, and that was my feature film. So I was just so driven. And so it kind of took ideas from the past and ideas and things that had been forming and stories I had heard from women all over the country and the world, and then put it together.
Now, how old were you when you put that project together?
Well, I think I first started to think about it when I was about 20, and then I during filming I turned 29. So it was about 9 years from the idea to completion, and yeah. So it's exciting.
That's not unheard of. No, I've heard of that before. Passion project, and they'll stay with it till the bitter end. They'll get it made one way or the other.
Yeah. Well, it just started as a little idea, and then going to LA, I was like, this is my screenplay. This is it. Okay.
Looking back at it now, I mean, have you think that it's gotten any better or worse as far as that goes?
I've just recently started showing it on Zoom because that's so easy to do, and it's nice to hear people's feedback. I cringe at parts because I would do that differently, or I wish I had done this, but all the performances are amazing. We did a lot for basically nothing. We had about $70,000 worth of free goods and services. The casino let us film there, gave us some hotel rooms for the actors. The town mayor gave us their Cadillac. The town or the county let us cut off 2 miles of road. So it was amazing. So it looks great. And the acting's good. But there's definitely parts to be like, ugh.
Yeah, you that's how you're gonna get any better, right? And we're all our own worst critics anyway, right?
Oh yeah, that's why when I watch with other people, I'm like, just be quiet.
Oh, I tell that to people here. I mean, if I'm doing this with you, like we're talking back and forth, I'm totally relaxed. I'm having fun. But when I try to do this stuff by myself, to do a review or a commentary or whatever, oh man, I dread it. I absolutely dread it. I just suck at it. And you know what though? It takes somebody wise to understand that a man's got to know his limitations. But I get it. So after you left to Santa Cruz, where did you get your degree to teach at? Where did you
that was Bemidji, Minnesota. And so I went, I already had a Spanish degree, so I went and got my teacher's degree. And I didn't know that Spanish teachers were in demand. So half of Minnesota wrote me a letter. But I was moping around from the heartbreak And I was at my sister's house in her basement, and my dad's like, I found you a job. It's at the beach, Santa Cruz, California. I'm like, okay, beach, I can do that. So I ended up there, and yes, I had my Spanish degree. And then years later, I ended up back in Maryland to go to American University to study film, because I thought it'd be nice to teach in the college level. But I ended up having a second child, so that changed a little. So I still have never taught the college level. I've taught adults. But.
Waffles is here. Hey, Waffles. He says, hi, Carolina.
Hi. I like your name, Waffles.
I know. He's got the best channel name on YouTube. I keep telling him
okay.
that. Yeah, I mean, of all the channels, he's got my favorite one. I mean, Heroic Waffles. It's the best channel name, isn't it?
Waffles.
Yeah, that's what we call them. We call them Waffles for short, you know.
Aw.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're gonna sit here. We're gonna tell stories, and then in the morning we're having waffles.
Watch Waffles on YouTube.
All right, I always keep saying that to him because I love Shrek so much. All right, so now you're in Santa Cruz, and did you make your movie up in Santa Cruz?
No, I went back to Minnesota because I knew it was easy to do there, and I thought naively, okay, I know Winona LaDuke, and that's how I got to White Earth, Minnesota, and to Bemidji, Minnesota, and on the Anishinaabe, or otherwise known as Ojibwe Reservation and land. I thought, okay, she does this concert called Honor the Earth with the Indigo Girls and Bonnie Raitt and Jackson Brown. So this is going to be an easy movie. It's about two women who end up following that concert to different reservations and learn about the environment and situations. And I was so naive that Indigo Girls, they actually kept saying, stop, we're not going to do this movie. Bonnie Raitt was sweet, but her Jackson Brown, they're all busy. That's not how film works. I was like, oh, okay. But Winona said sure, and so she supported me, and it was great because we hired people right there on the reservation, and we filmed. There's 3 reservations. Bemidji, Minnesota has 3: White Earth, Red Lake, and Leech Lake. So we got to film, and that was important for the movie as they go around the country. So we filmed there, and we needed that look. Santa Cruz is not the look. I forget where they end at the end of the movie, but the casino's arena helped for that. So I ended up back in Minnesota and back in the Midwest for a while.
What was your experience like filming on the reservation?
It was great. I mean, I knew a lot of people from living there before, and everyone was supportive and so excited. I mean, someone asked me, who does your publicity? Someone at the casino. I was like, well, you say movie, people get excited, because we got on the AP wire and people came from Wisconsin to audition. And I basically let everyone be in it as far as an extra or anything. So everyone was like, wow, I get to be in a film. They loved meeting the actors, and Alex Rice, who's Akwesasne or Mohawk, she is doing well and was in the Twilight series as Sue Clearwater, signing autographs, and the other actress, Christy Borges. So it was an exciting time, and we felt supported. There was a bugaboo that a man had made a film the year before about the tribal chairman. So of course that was very divisive. So some people thought we were the same people. So we did have a protest one day, and it was terrible because we're not that film. That film's done. It's on HBO. I forget what it was called, but I met him later. I said, we had a protest because of you. So besides that day, it was fine. It was nice. And yeah.
So what are the 3 things you took from that experience?
I took so much.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 things that you took and you applied later on in your career.
Well, after I had listened to these tapes about how to make a how to make a film, not a short, just how to make a film. And they said, keep it under 2 weeks, because after 2 weeks, people hate you. I was like, so since then, I I've done films that or projects have taken longer, but we never filmed more than 2 weeks consistently because that it's hard to manage people and to be the boss and people being tired. And since it was my first film, it was a bit chaotic, and working with a first-time director, that's hard. So since then, I made sure never to do 2 weeks, over 2 weeks if possible, and just getting more experience. Definitely casting, always cast the best people, but, find support people too, not to try to do it all yourself. Get a good production manager, assistant director, ask for help and get help.
Yeah, because I would think that a lot of people you knew that probably didn't have any experience at all, but they still wanted to be in the movie, they probably asked you for that. That could be hard.
Yeah, it was, because we had to bring people in who knew film. Everyone was very excited, but they didn't necessarily know how to make a movie.
How hard was it for you to market your movie, considering was it easier because of the Native American aspect of it? Or did you find the doors closed because of that?
I think, either, because it's so low budget or so unique in a niche, we didn't get into some film festivals. And then I didn't really have I didn't have a marketing plan, or, I didn't have the money to spend for all these film festivals. I did connect with people in Sundance, especially with, they have a whole Native American initiative. And I was working on another project about Sacagawea, who worked with Lewis and Clark. So I unfortunately my film was still being edited at the time. So I worked and got into the Sundance Lab and things like that. But yeah, we went into a few environmental film festivals. And then I guess just like a lot of filmmakers, I didn't really know how to market or where to go. So it's kind of late in that writer's chest. And then YouTube came. I was like, all right, I'm going to put it on YouTube. And now just like, okay, let me at least do some Zoom showings and see what I can do. Because I would always love for it to be like a cult film or like it's kind of a niche. So just tell people about it. And I feel badly because, all these actors gave their time and everything. And I'm like, oh, I dropped the ball. But I'm finding that a lot of filmmakers, that's the part that's just all business. And it's so different and difficult.
Oh, it is. What surprises me is how many movies that get announced and get cast and get talked about that never go anywhere. They never get completed for various reasons. Run out of the money, change it in cast, bad time frame, bad weather. I mean, there's just a host of reasons why. But a lot of movies with named people, it fades away. It's very hard to do on the indie level, but you did it. I mean, you got your movie out there.
I got the movie done. I love how it reaches to different communities and meeting people with it. But I feel badly too, because I was at a time of my life, I was like, I really want kids, and I started a family. So my whole life shifted. So now with my latest film, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to let anyone down this time. My kids are getting older. I'm getting out there, and everyone's going to see this movie. So
what did you do between the time where you completed your first movie to starting the new one?
I kind of feel like film is like that scene in The Godfather where they're like, I try to get out, but they keep pulling me in. So many times, like, I'm never doing this again. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to focus. I was working on a film, this big film about Sacagawea, and I was pregnant, and I was like, I guess I had no idea how to raise a kid. I thought I'd just kind of put the baby in the corner and still work. But the project ended, just kind of blew up. Like you said, a lot of movies don't get made. And it never did, unfortunately. So I was like, okay, what do I do? I'm about to have a child. So I went back to teaching, and then, directed like Annie and had fun with the kids directing the school plays. Because it was a very rural county in Minnesota. I went back right where I had filmed. And then I was like, okay, I would love to teach film, get back into film, at least as a professor. And actually, through Spanish teaching, I got a gig making Spanish, French, not Italian, German movies. So I went back to LA actually and got some other actors who are doing great now. We made these little films that teach the language to kids all over the country in their classrooms. So things like that would happen. And then I was actually just raising my second child is on the autistic spectrum. So I was like, oh, what is this going to entail? So I stayed home. But I got hired by like a local university to work on some film projects and different projects and wrote a lot. And I'm still working on a play I started back then. And then I worked again at a juvenile detention facility and with unaccompanied minors. So one of the projects I want to work on is a chupacabra movie, the goat sucker. So I talk to some of the students and get some of their like sad stories, but then make it like a horror campy film. So that's something I want to do because the kids were great, just really liked them. But I would write plays for them. And like some kids are like, when I came to this country, I didn't expect I'd be singing from Avenue Q with a puppet and doing theater. So it was great to expand their worlds and work with them. And then about a year ago, got an idea. It popped in my head again. It looks like every 20 years I get an idea for a movie. So I was like, oh, here we go again. So my latest, it's a short film, but
yeah, I mean that's one way to short. I think short films are I think they're critical. I love the short film format. I think that's where filmmakers always need to go. They always need to go. I mean, to me, I think a filmmaker learns his craft by doing short films. I think too many of them, just when you try to do a feature film and you don't really know what you're doing, you saw what happened the first time you did that with with your film. You look at that and you're like, look at all the mistakes you made. Well, guess what? A lot of first time filmmakers do that too. They come out and make the same mistakes because they've had no experience. They went for the whole enchilada, and sometimes it comes out really rough. And I think short films are just such a critical aspect of being a good filmmaker. Not to say that what you didn't do is wrong. I mean, by no means, but I just find it easier for filmmakers in general if they do short films. I just think it helps them improve much more. So, what's your short
creativity? It's about the beginning of a cult. So I know cults are hot right now, but it's from a real experience. So you get to peek into an intentional community and the beginning of groupthink and kind of, in my opinion, some dangerous ideas. So, and what I really liked about it was all COVID safe, and we filmed on Zoom. And even in the auditions, and the actors would film themselves, it just feels more intimate when they're talking right to you. So I think it's really interesting. And so I can't wait. I've just sent it out to some film festivals, see what'll happen. Can't wait to travel again and show it all over the world and talk about and have discussions afterwards about how groups can act and how it can be scary, how you get a bad idea and everyone goes for it like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's a comedy. Comedy drama.
Like QAnon.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned so much how fast it can all happen where you're just normal one day and poof, you've gone down a rabbit trail. And
yeah, isn't it? It's something else. See how easy people are led down the hole. I mean, we saw that with Trump. I mean, look how many of those people that were normal, your neighbors, and next thing you know, they're following him, and it's just like Hitler or Stalin or same thing. Or Jim Jones. You have the Comet people, the same thing.
If not saying anything, being quiet, and wanting to belong. Just that's where I was like, wait, sometimes you have to stop because you're going the wrong direction just to belong.
Right. Yeah. You find yourself on the wrong side of history, or and that's really sad. I mean, I read several books about Jim Jones, and you're right. It's absolutely scary. They just these are ordinary people that are you could be talking to next to you in the supermarket, but they're following some crazy wackadoodle.
Mm-hmm. He
And not always
promised a lot.
they're not always extremists either. That's the thing.
No,
They're
they're
not
very
always
smart.
extremists. They're very, there are a lot of them are conservatives. A lot of them, and there's a lot of mega churches out there in America that are just like that. I mean, they preach the same thing. I mean, they hide behind shields and God's word, and then this thing you got Waco or that sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't tell you the truth. Like, there's just so much. They're just kind of cagey. And then once you're in and they've love bombed you and you feel so accepted, they'll slowly change things and you start to doubt yourself or they'll gaslight you. Yeah, it's fascinating how quickly it can happen. And yeah, it's really sad.
Did you talk to any members of these cults? Or current members or former members of it?
Former members, but I have realized I have met a few people in cults. When I went to Mexico, I just graduated from college, so so pretty young and naive, and I met this man who was at a yoga center, and sometimes when he would talk, it was just like there was nothing in his eyes, and he would just kind of say whatever his yoga people said. And then they told him to stop hanging out with me. So I was like, oh, this is weird. I wasn't doing anything. So maybe I ate meat and he was vegetarian. But so now I realize, oh, that's a cult. That's a total cult. And it was sad to see him just kind of lost in it.
How old was he?
He was like 24, not too much older than I am. And yeah, they want smart people. They want people who can give them something, either draw other people or, build them a house or whatever. It's usually run by one narcissist, or a group that goes wrong. But narcissists do a lot of damage.
Yes, and they groom people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What's that? NXS or excess or something? The one where they had all the actors were involved in it. One of the girls.
Yeah. One of my actors got to interview one of those women because she got to play the person who's the narcissist. I was like, well, this is great for you. You get to talk to the women who've gotten out, luckily. What are they called? Nexium or something. And yeah.
Yeah, I was listening. I was following that story and listened to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, Inside Review, and he's had several people from the Smallville, because that's where he's on the star of, and they were talking about that whole thing, and they were like totally like, they could actually see Allison Mack slowly drifting away. It was just, it was weird because they go back and look at it. They go back and hindsight's 2020, but they actually look back and they see all the signs were there. They were all there, right there. But what's that saying? Sometimes you can't see the forest, in spite of the trees, and that might have been the case there. They were just weren't. They saw it, but they weren't sure what they were looking at.
Yeah.
The time they realized it, it was already too late.
Yeah.
Stephen wants to know if you were in a cult. I don't think you were in a cult.
Well, I asked too many questions, so I was asked to leave.
Oh,
but
really?
You shouldn't mess with filmmakers because they might make a movie about it. So I don't know if people will be my friend anymore because I don't know. I was like, well, I might make a movie about the experience. So yeah, it's all almost 90% real, 99. So yeah. It's interesting. So I'm a terrible cult member. I just ask too many questions, and
well, I mean, wow. Who knows? That's something you really don't hear about too much. As far as that go, but in a way, there's a lot of examples out there.
Yeah.
Hello.
Anything?
Yeah. So you said 90% complete. So are you looking at it as a documentary, or are you looking at it as a docudrama, like a I guess that's the new thing they call it, right? Docudramas.
Yeah, I think it would be because I knew there was no way I could do a real documentary because people aren't going to talk to me. So I was like, well, I know how to make a movie. So I got the actors and they were amazing. And we, kind of, made some fiction to make it a little more funny. I had a part for Steven, but he was busy. And I don't know why I couldn't wait for him, but
he would have been perfect. He would have been a good perfect cult leader.
He was kind of in that role was what I had for him. But for some reason I couldn't wait. I had to get it done. But I do have a part for him. I have a Grease movie, and I've got a part right for him about Grease, and we both love Grease and Olivia Newton-John. So I'll work with him, and I'll be patient that time. But so I hired actors. So it's like we took emails and took what people really said and acted it.
Did you hire them off you, or did you hire them through a casting director?
Oh, just me and just Backstage and people sending me their clips, and then I talked to them and did things through Zoom, which worked out perfect because that's how the movie was made. And it was so interesting because of COVID, they had to send me their footage. Now, one person had technical difficulties, so we went to their house, and I almost died because I was like, "Oh, he doesn't have a mask on," so I was scared because it was before the vaccine. But yeah, it was really interesting to do. And then we filmed the whole point is like a Zoom meeting, and we did that all one day in between. Like one actor had a Hamlet show, and this actor has this gig, so we found like one day and just filmed galore. And then I knew it would take forever to edit, and it did.
Yeah, I would think so. That was my. Now, did you do all your editing yourself?
I did, and I guess having children, I feel like I took a break. I'm never going to get back into filmmaking. But what's happened in the meantime is my two oldest are now filmmakers, so I kind of have a studio. So my son, he helped me edit, and he knows. It's changed since I made that last film. Adobe has gotten 1,000 more buttons. So he helps me and he does all that. And he kind of owed me money he owed me money. So I was like, oh, good. You can edit my film to pay me back. So he helped. And then my other son likes to make YouTube videos, and he's the one on the autism spectrum. So he loves videos and making videos. So they helped out a lot.
I find that YouTube is actually very autism friendly. It's one of the rare good things I can say about any social media platform, but I'll say that about YouTube. It's very friendly because I've seen a lot of autistic kids on here doing their thing, and it's a great medium. They get self-confidence. They meet a lot of fun people. For the parents, it's something that's they can easily look over and see what their kid's doing. It's easy for them to keep an eye on them. I find that to be as far as that goes, I find it to be a very happy medium. So what has changed most from the first time that you made this movie in the pandemic? Obviously the pandemic was different, but what are some of the changes you noticed from the first film you made until this new film you made? What's 3 or 4 big differences? And
right.
what did you do differently this time? What did you? I mean, that's what I guess I already asked that, but I mean, what did you do to? How can I put this? Well, because it was a short film. I mean, you applied all your rules, right? You made a fast filming, right? How many days did it take? Just one day? Did it only take
one day of the Zoom? Yeah, one day of the Zoom, and then people had to send in footage, and I would give comments. I'd say, "Oh, you need to redo this," and so we did have to wait for some actors. I gave like a deadline before the Zoom because actually one actor, I guess it's called ghosting nowadays, or people don't call you back that she didn't want to be in it. So I was like, I don't even know if she's going to be in it. So the day of the filming, I'm like, okay, you're now that role. And she was a great actress who did that, who I'd worked with before. So, but I needed the footage ahead of time because you don't want to, if someone had quit and then it messed up for whoever's in the Zoom, I had to make sure they also do their personal footage that was needed for the film. So yeah, we filmed quickly. I would love to keep making movies on Zoom. This is great because I didn't have a location. I didn't have to feed everybody. I didn't have to shelter everybody. You didn't have all that, getting tired with each other and just the whole mess
But
of a whole bunch of people.
there's a lack of personal connection though. I mean, watching a Zoom movie, you might be able, I might be that's a good experience, but I don't know if I could sit there and watch 3 or 4 of those.
That's true. That's true. And I don't know how the audience is going to react. Maybe people, there's a whole bunch of reasons people be like, this is odd. This is a different film. It's like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I want it to be a conversation talk about cults and groupthink. And
what did you name the movie?
Don't Talk About the Children.
Okay. I think you have a chance to take it on the road. I mean, you could probably show it in schools and Rotary clubs and stuff like that. I don't see why not. You mentioned about working film theater, trying to get your movie into a film festival. What was that experience like? You mentioned before about the money aspect of it. Did you have to pay money to get your movie into a film?
You have to pay the admission or the application fee. So at first I was working with the film company and I was getting paid a great amount. And then when that blew up and I started teaching and had a son, I was like, oh, so paying $50 for Sundance or paying $50 for Berlin Film Festival, I had to be like, wait a minute, I need to figure this out. So then I would do smaller films and just apply. But yeah, there's a lot of information out there about like having a plan. So I'm trying to be more selective this time. And I really do want to take it on the road, like you said. And because I want to be there and hear the conversations that happen and talk, because there's a lot of places where people can be like, whoa, I have questions about that, or I believe this. And it's okay if the audience fights and disagrees. We need more of that. The problem is when people think, oh, we all have to feel the same way and I'm going to cancel you if you don't feel like I do. So I want conversations.
Yeah, the cancel culture.
It's real.
Is it real? Yeah, it seems to be. Yeah, it seems to be. It seems to be pretty. You know what? I don't let anything like that bother me though. You can cancel me all you want. Doesn't matter what. Not going to suppress me from staying. I'm not going to stay silent because somebody else wants to bully bully. It's really all it is. Just a form of bully. Your voice doesn't count, so we're going to cancel you out. But you can try.
Yeah.
But a filmmaker has a camera, they're going to always be able to tell a story. Do you find yourself now in today's world? I mean, filmmakers' world, are you overwhelmed by how fast it's grown in the last 20 years? I mean, now you have streaming services everywhere. You have Vimeo, you have YouTube, you have so many places you could place your film at. I mean, is it overwhelming as a filmmaker?
I find it exciting. I mean, just even looking at film festivals, 20 years ago, there weren't all these women festivals, or they didn't ask you to check boxes like LGBTQ and all this stuff. I was like, oh, wow, look at this. So the opportunities out there are amazing. The thing I fear is that there's too much. Like, how do you find an audience, or there's just so much out there. But YouTube, I love it because I always felt like, this is hard to make films like about two women or, on reservations or something that's just so quirky and different. But now it's like, okay, we can make our own path. We can find a way to get these voices out there and then hopefully find the audience and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. And I want to make more films and work with young filmmakers and be the producer on movies about like some lesbians that have been lost to history. I found them like, we need a movie about this. So things like that. This is exciting. This is a great time. But I do need to learn from Steven how to do publicity and get people to find you.
Oh yeah, that's key, isn't it? I mean, it's probably the one thing that's probably changed the most, right? Since you first made your first film.
Yeah, we didn't. The social media, like you were saying, I need to learn it, and that's so important. I'm like, oh, so that's a whole new world. Yeah, before it was just email.
Yeah, we were talking about that with our guest on Monday, Dennis Mallon, and we were talking about how self-promotion is just has changed the game so dramatically, for actors and filmmakers and whatnot. Now you're seeing more and more of this. You're seeing more and more working actors are being pushed aside for influencers, on Instagram or on Twitter, or Twitch, or that sort of thing, and they're losing work because they got maybe like a couple of hundred followers, and the Joe rapper of the moment has like 50,000, and so these companies or studios are using these other guys because they have 50,000 people, and they know that they don't have to pay that much to publicize their movie. They just around say, we're gonna throw you into this movie, give him 10 lines, a little bit of money, and then next thing you know, he's gonna be sitting up there flogging it to all his fans and their fans and their fans, and they've saved a couple $100,000 on the production.
Wow.
Because they don't have to spend on the publicity.
Wow, I guess I'm so glad I didn't know that when I cast this last film. I was driving SAG Insane. I was like, okay, it's been 20 years. What do I do now? They're like, oh, lady, just fill out the paper. Like, well, why did you change this rule? 20 years ago, I could do it like this. So I'm glad I didn't know that part, because I don't know if I would have been tempted. I like to go for talent. So,
yeah, I agree. And Steven's mentioning here, everything is digital now, and it's so much easier. I would say yes and no to that. It's yes and no. I do think it is. It is definitely yes, because you're right. You get out there and you promote, and you can get out there and put it in all these different platforms. But at the same time, it's also harder because it's just like acting now. There's instead of having maybe like 1,000 performers, now because of the technology, now it's expanded to where you have 20,000, because there's no more streaming, there's no productions, there's more studios, there's more everything. So whereas before it was just a small pond, now it's much bigger, and so you have to do something special in order to be noticed. And it's not just that simple. Just, well, I have a YouTube account and I have a Twitter and I have Instagram. Well, that's what you do with it. You have to work it. And like, no, I find that out. I'm finding that out with this, doing what I'm doing here. I'm still working on figuring out how to promote it. I'm still figuring it out. It's hard as hell. I've done 45 of these now, and it's a dogfight. Every one is a dogfight.
Wow.
So, but it's like that. It's not supposed to be easy. Carolina, I mean, nothing worth it is easy, right?
That's true. Now I plan to go to Sundance no matter what. I already got the a little lodge, so all the actors could come stay at some chalet or something. And it's about an hour away because Sundance books up, or Park City books up. So even last time I went, we were about an hour away. But I'm going to dress up as like a cult leader. So I hope we'll get noticed. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of, people will notice me, and I'll be here, join our cult, watch the movie.
Well, you could just wear a hat, make America great again, a little.
Well, I was thinking more like a goddess look.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you can get one of those, make America great again. You can get one of those bad orange wigs on there, and,
join QAnon with us. No, we're going to make our own fun publicity cult.
Stephen could be, instead of Stephen Foster, he'll become Steve Banyan.
Oh.
Wait a minute, I thought he was taller than that. See, even watching too much of that evil CNN. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Have you thought about going back to? I think I asked you this, but I'm just going to revisit it. Have you thought about going back and doing more movies with the Native Americans? I don't think there was like a little spurt there. There was. I mean, to me, it's like that's a market that's not touched at all. I mean, once in a while. I think I've always wanted to encourage filmmakers and taught some film up in a few different areas up there, and just always encourage people, especially now that you can just grab the film. But there's lots of films being made, and Sundance definitely supports films. It's really important just for people to have their own voice. And I did go in really naive, just like, okay, I just want to show like these
characters learning about like what I had learned working with Winona and about the indigenous environmental movement. But I would definitely go and support anybody. And in this film, I asked any actor I had worked with before to come be in it. So for casting, it's always about just who's talented. And I actually thought that would be, I mean, so I just thought, yeah, just work with everybody. But I don't know. I mean, I have been asked a few times to film different like documentaries of important issues. But I just didn't have the chance for whatever issue. So, yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, who knows? I definitely like being out in the country, on the countryside.
And you mentioned about writing plays, and you've also done screenplays. So what do you like about writing screenplays, and what do you like about writing plays?
I guess I've really trying to get into playwriting because it just feels so much. I don't know if it's easier. Maybe that's being naive again. But, a film takes so much money and getting these people together and that, and then, going on the road. But if you have a play, you can make it anywhere. So I've written a whole bunch. What was that?
I found play. I mean, is that true there? You can just write it anywhere.
Well, I mean, like you can produce the play and perform it here and there and.
Right, yeah.
Not just spontaneous.
I'm thinking I might be hearing a playwright out west exploding about right now.
Oh, sorry. Just let me finish my sentence. This is also fear speaking. Like, oh, movie making so hard. I'm gonna try to work on theater, but I was able to like write some Shakespeare adaptations and then have my students make it. So it felt really tangible. But one thing I'm working on is a play about Christian right women getting divorced because I was homeschooling and home with my children. I was able to befriend a lot of women and get some of their stories. So I thought, well, this is interesting about marriage and divorce and how it goes against the religion. So that's something I'm working on in my dream. And thanks to Stephen, I'm making connections. I want that produced in New York. So I'm working on just fixing up the writing, and then I'll listen to whatever advice anyone has to say. So, okay, let's get this on the stage.
Okay. What do you like? Okay. So is playwriting easy? I mean, is it an easier process? I mean, how do you prepare writing a play versus writing a film?
Well, I'm still learning the differences. That's why I'm working with someone. She's like, well, in a movie, you can have these short scenes. In a play, it needs to be longer. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. I have seen a lot of plays and read Stephen's plays and read plays. But I guess the confidence level has been higher is one reason. I'm like, okay, this seems more tangible because screenplays, you're like, oh, it's like winning the lottery to sell your screenplay or, just all that negative thought and how much time and money to get the movie made. So for filmmaking, at least for plays, it feels like I can bust through my own fears. But as I found this year, if you really want to make a movie, you can do that too. But yeah, it's switching from that visual medium and, knowing that the actor is going to really have it in their hands on stage. And when I'm in a play, I just always like cry. It's so emotional, whether it's a musical or a sad play. It's just like you're right there and you feel it in the air. I just love that. So like one scene, I want them right at the edge of the stage. And that is just so cool.
What are some of your favorite plays that you've watched? I mean, what are do you have favorite writers that have influenced you?
Well, Tennessee Williams. Tennessee Williams for sure, and Streetcar Named Desire, and Glass Menagerie. But actually, one play that's really influenced me is called Turtle Island Blues. And it's a great play about Native American history and Native Americans today. And they performed that a lot over there in the Midwest. And some of my play kind of mimics that. So yeah, just yeah, there were some other good Native American playwrights, and yeah, just but probably Tennessee Williams.
Who do you bounce your ideas off? I mean, every good writer has somebody you bounce it off. Do you have like three or
Hmm.
four people you send them to and say, "What do you think?"
Well, I was lucky when I went to LA for the screenplays, or when I was writing those first screenplays. I had people like Steven. I had an amazing writing class, and it was so positive. But leaving LA, I know I tried some writers groups, and just people would like attack so early on to my little baby screenplays or book ideas or whatever it was, that I really froze up. So that's a good question. I don't know if I bounce off ideas. I just kind of write them, and like now I'm like, okay. I asked my friend that I met through Stephen in New York, like, will you look at this play? Is it good at all? So that's a great question. I don't know if I bounce my ideas off Stephen, but he's always supportive, and I think, and that's how I try to be with everyone else. Like, yeah, right. You never know where it's going. Keep going. So that's a great question. I'll have to look for some people I can bounce more ideas off of. And I enjoy that when you can talk with people and you just keep going with some fun ideas. That's what my first movie, Chasing Indigo. Some of those scenes came from just talking with people and making up this funny idea together.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. I mean, to me, I mean, I think it to be. Yeah, it's a shame about the group though. Attacking you. They shouldn't be attacking you. I mean, it should be. I mean, there is such thing as still like to think there's still such thing as constructive criticism. I mean, it's fine, but if you come out there and this is my first scene, and even before you start describing it, there's something like, well, where is it? What's it mean? Is there a deeper meaning than that? What city is it set in? I mean, time out. Let me show you what I got. Then maybe you can talk to me a little bit about it. Because yeah, you do got people like that. I think a lot of that is just insecure. A lot of that attack
Yeah.
is insecure because they're sitting there, they're holding their breath. Maybe some of their ideas got shot down or banged up a little bit, and now they're just defensive. And so when a new person comes in and starts giving an idea, they feel like, well, I can show off I'll attack them to even the playing field. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I think I know. And now I'm thinking about it. I know Rebecca. I'm thinking of some people I met through Stephen. And that's one reason I trust Stephen is, and the people he gathers around him is people who are really creating. You're not going to feel beat up after talking with them. People who are really in there, like you even said, making a movie and stepping out and making the mistakes. You know what it's like. So you're not going to be, just squashing people.
Stephen mentions he bounces his ideas off Chuck.
Of
So
course,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean that helps when your spouse is also in the business. I mean, it's a lot more. I mean, you're gonna get a lot more. Like your sons. I would think that would probably be a pretty good place to bounce off things too, because they're both
Uh,
filmmakers.
yeah, there it's interesting because my oldest wants to he is a comedian. He already had a professional gig and got paid, but he's like into this young man comedy. So we're like in very different places in our lives, and he's always like, well, mom, that's kind of old fashioned. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, I guess maybe I should just try to bounce ideas off other middle-aged women because they get it.
Yeah, I mean,
Ideas.
yeah, I mean, that's a good thing. When you write your screenplays, I mean, what's your process like during the day? I mean, when you know that you're going to be doing some writing, like, you set this time aside, you are going to write. So what's your process like? I mean, what do you do? Do you have a set routine that you do? Is there anything that you do to help relax you, to get you into the mood?
Well,
And more importantly, keep you in the mood.
yeah. Well, it's so interesting. When I first started writing, like that first year when, I'd always written diaries and little skits in this. And actually, that's something I'm going to do too. I have all my old skits from 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I want to start a comedy skit thing on YouTube with some other women. And I'm actually going to do a lesbian sing along with a friend too. And we've been making some funny songs. I was like, oh, we can just do this at campfires. This will be fun and we'll be cool, because a lot of women don't even know the past and all these cool singers that have been around. Anyways, but when I first started, it's like you get in the zone. I'm like writing, and I'm so happy just writing. So that's really, I'm like, I could spend all day doing this. And I think some people on my blog are like, man, she blogs a lot. I'm like, but this is fun. I love writing. But yes, it takes, like, I like to kind of marinate. Like I write little post-it notes and write an idea or email myself idea for this. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus on this. And again, if I have a deadline, so that's one reason I didn't wait for Steven, because I was like, I need to get this done. I want it done by December, and then I want to submit it to Sundance. I was like, here's our goal. And then that helps me just like at least do 3 pages a day, or I'm going to give myself this scene. And just, I like having it. I like doing a rough draft, get it all out there, and then you can fix it up. It's easier once it's tangible.
You mentioned, what do you think about how do you feel like, over 20 years ago to now? I mean, do you feel like the gay community is being more represented fairly now? Is there more acceptance from gay talent, or bisexual talent as far as getting the word out there? Do you find that the doors are opening for that? Before they would close, oh, we can't do a gay play, but now we can do something with with the gay and lesbians, or bisexuals. I mean, do you feel like you feel encouraged that it's more accepted now?
Yes, it's night and day. When we were making the movie, we were like, don't say the L word. This is before the show, the L word, because we were in a conservative area in Minnesota. We were so scared, like, because I'd already had experiences of people like, ew, don't talk to those 2 gay men, or just outright experiences, where now, even on the reservation, totally different. People are out, and I mean, it's not all wonderful, but it's totally different. And yeah, just all these different film festivals and people who are just like, this is who I am. And my students nowadays, they're like 13, 14. They're like, yeah, I'm pansexual. And I'm like, wow, the world has just totally changed. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that with a lot more acceptance, as far as that goes. I mean, I guess it's I don't know, half I think the majority of the audiences are accepting of it. I still think you're going to have the resistance down in the Bible Belt, and who really are probably watching it at home anyway.
Well, that's what was interesting, being in that world. And like we had a Super Bowl party, and they didn't want their kids to see Katy Perry because she had sang I kissed a girl. But that's why I wrote the play, because anytime you're in any sort of group that has these rules, people are going to break them. So there were at least 4 women who were divorced, and divorce, you're not supposed to do that. So I always find it interesting. And then now that some of their children have grown up, seeing what they're believing or not, or what they think. So you can make these hard rules, but if you get to know people as people, that's all there is. But yeah, you can shelter, like, no, we're not going to watch these films. We're only going to watch these channels. You can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, it just seems more counterproductive to narrow it. I mean, everybody has limits. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, there are some people that have their limits, and it's not necessarily right to force them past their comfort levels. So there will always be a core of people that won't see certain aspects of cinema or plays. I can't abide that because they're harsh in our religion. I can't abide that because they're they don't like cats, and I can't abide that because so I get that aspect of it. But I mean, it's just because you don't like it doesn't necessarily mean that you should come out and hate on it. Or I think you can sit there and quietly sit there and say, hey, let them do their own thing.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
As long as nobody's getting hurt, what does it matter to me? It's not affecting my life in any way.
Yeah.
It really isn't. A lot of it is just all people are doing they're just asking for the same rights that you've enjoyed for all your life.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, things, like getting having a cake made, for your wedding. You know,
Yeah.
I,
That was
me and my wife,
crazy.
me and my wife, we had a cake made for our wedding, and we didn't have any problems. But two men go in there and they want a cake made, and all of a sudden it's a problem because they're two men. And
Wow.
yeah, it's just different. So
Crazy.
where do you see where do you see yourself going next? I mean, you got a lot of irons in the fire, but what iron's burning the hottest right now?
Well, right now it's to don't talk about the children and get that on the road and get it at film festivals and talk to people and have conversations and hopefully meet people all over the country and the world. And then I'm writing the Grease movie and working on the play. And I would like to see the play. Right now, it's called "In God We Trust." Our husbands, not so much. I'd really like to see that in New York, and just keep going for it. Because the nice thing, I didn't have that much confidence at 29, and then of course being a first time director, and everyone's like, oh. But now it's like, I'm older, you live once, you gotta go for these big dreams. And I've always been creative and gotta do it. So I'm just like, now's the time. Now's the time. So I'm just trying to stay focused and hope to put the guys in a rent RV and hit the road and show them the
Uh,
world.
Steven's asking if there a trailer for your new film.
Yes, there is.
You'll have to send it to me so I can put it down in the description box.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I'll put all your information down. I'll put all your information down under the description box so people can find you. Are you on? Where are you at besides on Facebook? Do you have Instagram?
We're getting a website for it'll be called Don't Talk About the Children, I think .com or something. And then I need to work on that. I'm not on Instagram. I need to build that. I definitely need to work on that.
I can hear Steven right now. He's already going. Well, I can see where we're going now.
Well, he promises he'll teach us publicity.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling that he'll be tapping my shoulder here in a minute because that's what it's about. It's about promotion here, and it's like, how do you do it? How do you get it done? Because there's a lot of ways people try to. There's a lot of ways people will try to scam you to get it. You get all these people sitting there going like, I could build you up an Instagram following tomorrow. You could have 30,000 people tomorrow if you pay like $300.
Oh, wow.
But that's just false. It's false because anybody worth their salt can walk to it. Like I can tell when an Instagram is inflated. I can tell.
Okay.
It's just you look for certain signs. I could walk up there and say, I have 30,000 followers. I can go up there within 30 seconds, tell you if you really do or you don't, or if you have a popped up account. It's not too hard.
Yeah.
And that's I'm just a layman. I'm just an average. You got professional casting directors out there and professional social media people out there that can be able to walk up there, look at your accounts, and sit there and tell you, if you're real or not. Steven says, have your boys help you with that, Carol would.
Yeah, well, he calls me Carol Wood. He's it's so, I love it, like Hollywood Carol Wood. I wish if I could get him to do the dishes first, that would be great.
You know what you do? You film it. Tell them you're gonna film it.
Now with the cancel culture, here's the world watching you not doing the dishes.
Yeah, here's this guy out here doing all these nifty tricks out here on a skateboard, but he won't do this.
Exactly. But they definitely know that world, and they're on Twitch and all this stuff. But that's what's interesting about 20 years ago. I'm used to face and meeting people. And I'm like, okay, I guess I do need to expand this and put it on Instagram and meet people that way. So I have to change my mindset.
What's it like being a student? You've been teaching all these time, but now you're like you're a student again.
I know. Humbling,
like
humble. But, I love school. I love learning. But that's the fun thing about teaching is when you reach those kids who they hate school, they hate learning. Like, no, you learn stuff. You teach me about technology. You guys know how to do this stuff. Teach me. So, yeah, it's humbling. I have to start again. And I get frustrated sometimes. Like, why did the world change? Why do I have to do social media? Why do I have to do this? But it's also nice to meet new people. So that's great. And it's safe this way. Like I know and we're not getting COVID from each other. So
right. Does anybody in the chat have some questions for our guest, Carolina? If you feel like asking some questions, please start dropping them in.
Thanks everyone coming. I don't see the comments. I guess you do. Or can I press comments here? It says private chat comments. So I don't want to touch anything.
Yeah, that would be just you and me.
Yeah,
if you go to your monitor, are you just operating off of one monitor?
I could push in the other one, but then I don't know what would happen. So I'll just
or you could open up another browser and just go to YouTube and
okay.
Yeah, you can see
them after. I'll have to see them after. It'll be in the recording, right?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yep.
Good.
So everything that we're seeing here, it'll be up and running within like a minute after we're done.
So fast.
And that's a good thing about this interview is that it's evergreen, which means you could talk about this interview from today, next week, and 2 months from now. Let's see. Real Lady Electrician. That's one of my 3 ladies on Fridays I hang out with.
Nice.
They do masks and stuff. They have like a slumber party. It's really fun. It's really fun watching it.
Fun.
He wants to know, when can we expect to see your cult movie?
Well, I'm going to do the film festival, work on that world, get some buzz. I would love for everybody to see it, so I'm trying to go that route. But then, tell me where you live. I'll find a festival near there. I will be there.
We're in Detroit, in Detroit area.
I'll be there. I know Michigan. My son went to Interlochen, so I like Michigan. That's Ojibwe territory up there. They speak Anishinaabe. Yeah. I'll come to Michigan. I love it, especially for the trees
and the mittens.
I missed the cold.
See, this is the thumb right here. Well, we live in southeastern Detroit. We live in southeastern Michigan. We're in the Metro Detroit area.
Oh, okay. I have a really good friend up there.
Yeah, I tell people all the time I live about 30 miles south of Murder City.
Oh, wow.
Just being honest.
Yeah.
If I'm lying, I'm dying. But it's what kind of cult is your film about? Is it going to be a religious cult? Is it going to be a scientific cult?
No. And that's the thing. It's about a forming cult. So anything can become a cult really quickly. I've heard of AA groups, yoga, New Age. So this is more of like just like Jonestown, where he wanted to build a community of many races and to change the world, and kind of got some people interested in communism, but then it turned because, well, he wasn't right and narcissist and terrible. But so it's the same idea of people who just want to live in harmony, but then they're going a different way. They're being led by a narcissist, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to say this is okay and not talk up and speak up. So it's like a cult of liberal do-gooders, I guess. Just people who want to live together. But yeah, in the movie, they're a bit hippie, kind of, but so it's not religious though.
All right. Any more questions for our guests? Let's see. Is it based on real events?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
What
I
was that
took
called?
emails and took what people said, and the actors were great. I was like, you're gonna have to make this look like conversation. And they were amazing. We did a lot of improv. So yeah, and it was wonderful to hear what they said. Like, what makes this person tick? Why would they say that? It was fascinating.
I think we see the rise of more narcissists and more cult leaders like that today is because I think people have a real short memory span. They don't remember. I mean, you mentioned Jonestown. Most people under 30, and they're looking at you like like you're lost in space. Like what's a Jonestown?
Yeah, yeah. I had a coworker. I mentioned Kool-Aid, and I had to explain it to her. But yeah, yeah, and that's what is fascinating to me. How quickly any group can just go wrong because they want to belong, and that's a human need and want to be part of the group.
or fear, or in some cases it's just
Absolutely.
fear. That's how
Yeah.
that's how I see the GOP. It just went from being one party to all of a sudden they just became scared of everything, and they just became a giant cult. I mean, they allowed themselves to be led down the trail, and they wanted to. They were scared for their so-called way of life, which is ironic because it's like that's what America's about, to be able to come in there and live however you want to live. It's the land of the free, right? It's free to, and but all of a sudden, but it's not. It's only free as long as you're the ones telling you how free it is. And so that's
Right.
right. I mean, that's the same thing with cults.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
good as long as I benefit from it. It's all good. But nobody
And
else
you're
can.
not allowed to criticize anything good that happens. It's because of the cult leader or because of the cult. Anything bad, it's your fault. It's your problem. And yeah, they get you with a lot of love. And isn't this great? And keep you busy. Like in Nexius, you're just always busy and tired and hungry. And you don't even have time to think that this isn't okay. And that's it. People don't know it's not okay, or they start to just go along because it's easier not to fight.
So a
So
lot of people think that it's all after poor people or poverty people, and it's not true at all. Because look at Scientology. You have multimillionaires that are in there, and
yeah,
they're following that cult. I mean, they're being leached, but they're still following it. It's amazing. Cultism can come in any shape, size, creed, or
yeah,
sex. Doesn't matter what it is.
yeah. Yeah, the ones that scare me are the marketing ones where they love you until you don't hit your mark, and then all of a sudden they kick you out. Like, oh, I would fail that one. Like, you have to sell whatever you're selling, but they have a community and they have friends, and then they encourage you to just keep going, keep selling.
Uh,
So yeah,
like Amway. I
yeah, yeah,
don't even
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I don't even know if Amway's still a thing, but that's how I remember
Oh,
that.
it's right. It's right near you. You have the Betsy DeVos Center in like, wasn't that Grand Rapids, Michigan?
Yeah,
That's Amway. Yeah,
yeah.
or the
Well, all right,
DeVos.
folks. Wow, this has been hey, how you doing, Brene? Welcome, welcome. You got here just in time for us to say I'm going to wrap it up with our guest, Carolina Johnette. I want to say thank you so much to the chat who came out, and you didn't faint not one time.
I didn't have to use my
I
bag.
told I told you I told you you were in good hands. I told you were in good hands, and you were. And now this is the first time that Steven's actually sat through this. So
Oh,
now he
thank you,
understands.
Stephen. I
Yeah.
know he's here to support me. He's always supportive and
Hey,
such a
Willie.
great teacher.
Yes, he is. He's taught me a lot, and very generous with his time.
Yeah.
Hey, Willie, how are you? Hi, Katie, how are you? Everybody's coming in late. That's okay. So thank you for coming in. I appreciate that so much.
I do.
Before I go, I got to do this again. I got to do the calendar. You guys can hear this calendar real quick. I'll only do the next week. I won't keep you here for that much. So next Tuesday we have artist Braden Duncan will be here. It's from Clockwork Art will be here, and then on the 27th with Artfully Blind with Diana will be here. These shows are all 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to start. And then on next Thursday, a week from tonight, we have She Wins. Rico and Dizzy from She Wines. I say She Wins. She Wines will be here. And I know it's thank God I got their names finally. So Rico and Dizzy will be here next Thursday. Oh, no problem, Katie. That's what we got. That's what we love about YouTube. It's called replays. So whatever you didn't see today, right now, I'll be putting it up in 6 seconds, and you can watch and listen to it. Thank you so much for Carolina for coming in. And
Thank you.
Whenever your new film gets out, and don't speak other
Don't
children.
talk about the children. Don't
talk about the children. When they finally hit, are you looking for a 2022 release?
Oh yeah. I want to try to get the buzz going and get the right marketing this time and get everyone to talk about. Don't talk about the children.
Okay. When that happens, we will have you come back on and we will talk about your film.
Thank you. Hopefully by then I won't be so nervous. I'll be like, I got through it. I can do this again.
This is going to be the first of many interviews for you, I'm sure.
And thank you, Stephen, for being here and everyone.
All right, folks. Thanks again for showing up, and we will see you Sunday night on the Midnight Hour. We'll be on Hobsworth channel. For some of you, I will see you next Tuesday. Okay. Thank you so much, and until the next one, peace. Stay right where you're at. Stay right where you're at, Carolina.
Sounds good.